Did you know that to produce a pot of honey, honeybees have to fly the equivalent of 3 times around the world? Well, I don't know about you, but I love honey smothered over hot buttered toast. I also love it drizzled over Greek yogurt with fresh juicy peaches for breakfast on a hot sunny morning. In the winter, I like to bake moist honey cake that's sweet and gooey. Yum. But did you know that one honeybee produces only 1 teaspoon, 5 grams, of honey in its lifetime? Lockdown has changed many things. For me, 2 real positives are that I have time to develop my photographic skills and that I've learnt a lot about beekeeping and the fascinating world of the honeybee. There are 3 distinct types of bees. I'm going to tell you a few fascinating facts about each. The first one I'm going to talk about is the queen bee. Now, there's only one of her, and she happens to be the largest bee. She's the only one that lays eggs. In fact, she's so busy laying eggs, around 2,000 a day, that she doesn't even clean or feed herself. She has attendants that do the job for her. She's also the only honeybee that has more than 1 sting, and she uses it to help her lay the eggs inside the comb. She only ever leaves the hive at the beginning of her life when she goes off to mate with as many drones as possible. Usually around 12 to 15 drones. The more the better, as this encourages genetic diversity and the health of the colony. The second type of bee I'm going to talk about are the drones. Now, these are the male bees. There aren't many of them. They only make up about 15% of the population of a colony. They're distinguishable by their big eyes. They use them apparently to help find the queen. They don't have any stings. You could pick them up and you wouldn't get stung. They don't contribute to the hive, however, because their sole purpose is to mate with the queen. They meet up with their fellow drones high up in the sky in what's known as DCAs, drone congregation areas, and this is where the queen finds them. They don't apparently fight each other for the queens, but once they do successfully mate, their life is over. That's the end of it. I believe maybe 1 or 2 might survive, but majority of them don't. The third type of bee is the worker bee. Now, these are girls on a mission. A healthy hive will have between 20,000 and 60,000. Worker bees have several different tasks after they emerge from the cells. The very young bees, they do jobs like feeding larvae. They are the nurse bees. They are the mortuary bees, the bees that clean up the hive. And they're also the queen's attendant. They, as I've already mentioned, feed and they groom her and generally look after the queen. The more mature bees, at approximately 10 days, they become pollen packers and honey sealers, and they also build the honeycomb, and they're in charge of fanning the hive to keep it cool. And the buzz that you hear in a hive is the wings of the bees. Mature workers, and they're approximately 3 weeks old. Now they become guard bees, so they're the ones at the entrance of the hive that stop marauding wasps coming in and make sure that bees from other hives don't come in as well. And then there are the foraging bees. Now these are the bees that we are familiar with. They're the ones that go outside the hive and collect pollen and nectar from flowers. Now, did you know honeybees visit between 50 and 100 flowers in a single trip? I find that fascinating. They're certainly very busy, aren't they? Did you also know that they can't see red, but they love blue? Blue is their favourite colour. So if you want to encourage honeybees into your garden, then apparently the best flowers to plant are lavender and rosemary. Bees often travel up to 3 miles, but can go as far as 6 miles in search of pollen and nectar. They fly at about 15 miles an hour, which I find quite incredible, because if you think we walk at about 3 miles an hour and cycle, well, when I cycle, it's about 10 miles an hour on average. Finally, did you know that they do all this incredible work with only a brain the size of a grain of sugar?